This is Captain Darvo's True Tales, completely factual maritime adventures printed somewhere near the equator. Episode 4, The Squid Situation. The tentacle came up on the port side at 14 minutes past 2 in the afternoon. It was reddish-brown, roughly the diameter of a fire hose, covered in suckers the size of saucers, and it had wrapped itself around the T-top post of the Nordic 26 with the casual confidence of something that had been doing this to boats since before boats were invented. Finnigan was standing 3 feet from it, barefoot, holding a sandwich. He looked at the tentacle. The tentacle, in its own way, looked at him. He put the sandwich down very slowly, the way a man puts things down when he realizes the situation has changed in a way that sandwiches cannot fix.
Darvo
was at the helm. He had not looked up from the chart plotter. He was studying the depth contour off Siantan Island and drinking his 4th beer of the afternoon, and considering whether the anchorage at Teluk Bayur would be too shallow at low tide.
Yes, Finnigan.
There's a tentacle on the T-top.
What kind of tentacle?
The kind that's attached to something very large that is currently underneath this boat.
Darvo looked up, looked at the tentacle, looked at Finnigan, looked at the tentacle again. His expression didn't change.
Huh? That's what you've got? Huh?
It's an Architeuthis.
A what?
Giant squid. Architeuthis ducks, deep water species. Shouldn't be at the surface. Interesting.
Interesting is not the word I would use for a tentacle on our roof, Darvo.
It's probably sick. They only surface when something's wrong. Or when they're curious. Either way, don't touch it.
It had started 12 hours earlier with paperwork, or more specifically, with the absence of paperwork. They had departed RSYC at 5 a.m. for a 3-day trip to the Anambas Islands. The plan was simple. Cross the Singapore Strait at first light, clear immigration at Batam, then run 200 nautical miles southeast to the Anambas archipelago. Darvo had provisioned the Nordic with military precision. Fuel full, water full, beer very full. Charts updated. The lady in red had packed a bag that was either very small or contained a portal to another dimension, because she would produce outfits, accessories, and once an entire snorkeling set from it over the next 3 days without it ever appearing to get smaller. What Darvo had not done was file a cruising permit with MPA. Finnigan discovered this at the fuel dock.
Darvo, did you file the MPA port clearance?
The what?
The port clearance for leaving Singapore waters. The one MPA requires you to submit before departing on any international passage.
Is that the form?
It's the form.
The long form or the short form?
There's only one form, Darvo.
Then no, I did not file the form.
We are about to leave Singapore waters without telling MPA where we're going.
We're going to the Anambas.
I know where we're going. MPA does not know where we're going. That's the problem.
MPA doesn't need to know where I'm going, Finnigan. The ocean is free.
The ocean is free. Singapore waters are not free. Singapore waters belong to MPA. And MPA has rules. And the rules say you file a cruising permit before departure. It's not optional, it's regulation.
When did this become a regulation?
It has always been a regulation.
I've been crossing these waters for 6 years.
You've been breaking this regulation for 6 years.
And yet here I stand, unimprisoned, free, barefoot.
I'm the barefoot one.
Today we are both barefoot in the eyes of the law. Finnigan, let's go.
They went, without the permit, without telling MPA, without, as Finnigan would later note, the basic minimum of maritime administrative responsibility that separates us from the guys we bought crabs from. They cleared the Singapore Strait at sunrise, dodging the usual parade of container ships, tankers and bulk carriers that treat the strait like a motorway and treat small boats like suggestions. A 300-meter Costco vessel passed them so close that Finnigan could read the crew's laundry hanging on the aft deck.
Darvo, that ship is inside our exclusion zone.
We don't have an exclusion zone, Finnigan. We're a 7-meter boat. We have a suggestion zone. And the suggestion is, move.
Coal rigs say,
power gives way to power, but gross tonnage gives way to nothing. That ship can't see us, can't stop for us, and doesn't care about us. We give way every time. That's not regulation. That's physics.
They cleared Batum immigration in 40 minutes. The immigration officer looked at the Nordic, looked at Darvo's New Zealand passport, looked at Finnigan's dodgy passport, looked at the lady in red who handed over a passport so quickly nobody saw which country it was from, stamped everything, and waved them through. Darvo tipped him with a packet of Marlboro Reds that he kept in the helm console, specifically for this purpose.
Is that a bribe?
It's a cultural gift, Finnigan.
You say that about everything?
Everything is a cultural gift when you're crossing borders. The whole world runs on Marlboro Reds and socket sets. The sooner you accept this, the sooner you'll stop being surprised.
They cleared the Rio Islands by noon. The strait between Singapore and the Rio Islands was a garbage highway. Every current carried trash from 3 countries. Finnigan pulled a plastic bag off the bow with the boat hook.
This is disgusting.
Singapore Boat Show just ended. Every boat in the region was on the water last weekend. This is the hangover.
This isn't a hangover. This is an environmental crime.
Welcome to Southeast Asia, Finnigan. The ocean is everyone's bin, nobody's responsibility.
That's incredibly depressing.
It is. Have a beer.
By 1 p.m., they were in open water. Deep water. The depth sounder read 400 meters and climbing. The sea was dark blue, almost black. The Tuas megaport construction was visible on the horizon for the first hour. Cranes, barges, the massive land reclamation that was slowly eating the Western Strait. Singapore was building itself bigger. Dredgers worked day and night, pumping sand from the seabed, reshaping the coastline. The fish didn't like it. The coral didn't like it. The shipping traffic didn't like the new shallow patches. Nobody liked it except the Port Authority, who liked it very much. Then even the cranes disappeared, and they were truly alone. At 1:45 p.m., Darvo noticed the fish finder. He'd been watching it casually since they left Batum. The usual scatter, small bait schools at 20 meters, the occasional larger return at 50, normal deep water traffic. But at 1:45, something appeared at the bottom of the screen. At 380 meters, a return so large the fish finder colored it solid red. The contact was moving, slowly, rising. 360 meters, 340.
Finnigan, come look at this.
Finnigan walked to the helm. The contact was now at 300 meters and still rising. It was enormous. The fish finder showed it as a solid mass roughly 15 meters across.
What is that?
I don't know.
Is it a whale?
Wrong shape. Whales show us a curve. This is flat, long.
A submarine?
In Indonesian waters. Unlikely. Also, submarines don't rise at this speed.
250 meters, still rising.
Darvo, it's coming up.
I can see that.
Should we move?
And go where? It's directly underneath us. If we move, we might move into its path.
If we don't move, it arrives here.
Then we'll know what it is.
I would rather not know what it is, Darvo. I would rather live in ignorance. At speed. Somewhere else.
200 meters, 150. The lady in red sat up on the sunpad. She hadn't been looking at the fish finder, she'd been looking at the water.
It's a squid.
Both men looked at her.
You can't possibly know that from up there.
The bioluminescence. Look at the water.
Finnigan looked over the side. She was right. Beneath the surface, faintly, a greenish glow was pulsing, moving, rising, getting brighter. It was the largest bioluminescent display he'd ever seen. It looked like a city underwater. A city that was coming up to visit. 100 meters, 80, 60. The Nordic's hull began to vibrate, a low hum. Not the engine, something beneath them. Something generating a frequency that resonated through the fiberglass. 40 meters, 20. The fish finder went solid red, then stopped working entirely, overloaded. The water beside the Nordic turned from dark blue to reddish brown, and then it surfaced. It came up on the port side, not fast, not aggressive, with the slow, deliberate emergence of something that has never in its evolutionary history had any reason to rush. The mantle came first, torpedo-shaped, reddish-brown, roughly 8 meters long, textured like wet leather. It displaced water as it rose, creating a swell that rocked the Nordic sideways. Then the eyes, 2 of them, each one the size of a dinner plate, golden amber, reflective. They caught the afternoon sun and glowed. They were not looking at the boat. They were looking at the people on the boat. There is a difference, and Finnigan felt it in his skeleton. Then the tentacles, 10 of them. 2 longer than the rest. The feeding tentacles, each one extending 4, 5, 6 meters from the mantle. The other 8 shorter, thicker, curling and uncurling in the current. Architeuthis ducks, the giant squid, the animal that lives at depths humans cannot reach, that was filmed alive for the first time only in 2012, that has been the basis of every sea monster legend since humans first put wood on water. Here, now, beside a 7.8 meter sport boat 200 miles from Singapore. Finnigan stopped breathing. He would later estimate he did not breathe for approximately 12 seconds. Darvo put his beer down. This was only the second time in their entire professional relationship that Darvo had voluntarily put a beer down. The first time had been during the 7 words at Lazarus. This was worse. Odie, move.
I wasn't planning on moving, Davo.
Lower your voice.
You think it can hear me?
I don't know what it can do. I know what I can do, and what I can do is stay calm, so let's all stay calm.
The lady in red had not moved. She sat on the sun pad watching the squid with the expression of a woman at an aquarium who has paid for the premium experience and is now receiving it.
It's beautiful.
It's terrifying.
Those 2 things are not mutually exclusive, Finnigan.
The first tentacle came over the gunnel at 2:14 p.m. It didn't grab, it explored. It moved across the fiberglass hull the way a hand moves across a surface in the dark, touching, sensing, reading. Darvo watched it. His hand was on the throttle.
It's not attacking, it's investigating.
It's investigating our boat, Darvo.
It's never seen a boat. It lives at 400 meters. It's never seen sunlight. Everything up here is new to it. We're as alien to it as it is to us.
I am having a very different emotional response to that observation than you are.
A second tentacle came over, then a third. The squid was wrapping itself around the Nordic, the way a child wraps itself around a parent's leg. Not squeezing, holding. The boat listed 3 degrees to port under the weight. And then the feeding tentacle, the long one, the one with the paddle-shaped club at the end, covered in the largest suckers, reached across the deck toward the sun pad, toward the lady in red. It happened in 3 seconds. The feeding tentacle extended across the cockpit, over the helm console, past Darvo's captain's hat by approximately 4 inches, and wrapped around the lady in red's waist. She did not scream. She did not panic. She looked down at the tentacle around her midsection with the calm assessment of a woman who has been grabbed by worse things at worse parties and survived all of them.
Finnigan,
Yes,
my champagne.
The tentacle tightened, not violently, firmly, and began to pull, slowly, toward the port side, toward the water.
Davo,
Davo was already moving. He grabbed the boat hook from its mount, stepped to the port gunwale, looked at the tentacle, looked at the squid's eye, which was now level with the gunwale, 3 feet away, golden and vast and ancient.
Listen, I understand you're curious. I respect your position in the marine food chain, but that woman is a guest on my vessel, and I'm going to need you to let her go.
He was talking to the squid, calmly, in the tone he used for harbour masters, immigration officers, and Uncle Stephen. The squid did not let her go.
Finnigan, the gaff under the seat.
Finnigan grabbed the gaff, a steel hook on a pole designed for landing tuna, not designed for negotiating with prehistoric deep-sea predators.
Don't hurt it, it's protected. Probably. I'm actually not sure if giant squid are protected, but assume they are.
you want me to not hurt the thing that's dragging a woman off the boat?
I want you to redirect it. Gently.
Gently.
Finnigan, if we hurt it, it will squeeze. If it squeezes, it will crush the hull. This boat costs more than your education. Be gentle.
The lady in red, being slowly dragged across the sun pad toward the gunwale, tapped the tentacle twice, like knocking on a door.
Excuse me?
The squid paused. The tentacle stopped pulling. She looked directly at the eye, the enormous dinner plate golden eye that was watching her from beside the hull.
I am not food. I am not a fish. And this dress is dry clean only. Let go.
3 seconds passed. The tentacle loosened, slowly. It unwound from her waist, retracted across the cockpit, slid back over the gunwale. The squid's mantle sank. The eyes went last, staying at the surface, watching her, golden and enormous, for 5 full seconds after the body had submerged. Then it was gone. The water churned. A pulse of bioluminescence flashed green beneath the hull, and the depth sounder began reading again. 410 meters, 430, falling, going home. The Nordic rocked in the displacement wave, then settled. The sea was flat again. Finnigan sat down on the cockpit sole. He was shaking.
What just happened?
We had a visitor.
A visitor? A giant squid just tried to take our passenger to the bottom of the ocean, and you're calling it a visitor.
It didn't try to take her. It was curious. It let go.
It let go because she talked to it.
She's very persuasive.
She told a squid her dress was dry clean only, and it let go.
Effective communication transcends species, Finnigan.
The lady in red stood up from the sun pad, straightened her dress, checked for sucker marks, found 3 on the fabric.
This is going to need professional cleaning.
You were just grabbed by a giant squid.
Yes. And now I need a dry cleaner. These are not mutually exclusive problems.
She walked to the cooler, opened it, took out a champagne bottle, poured herself a glass, sat back down on the sun pad, took a sip.
Are we still going to the Anambas?
Yes.
Good. Wake me when we get there.
She closed her eyes. Within 2 minutes, she was asleep. They motored in silence for 45 minutes, Davo at the helm, Finnigan in the cockpit staring at the water. Finnigan broke the silence.
Davo, we need to report this.
Report what?
A giant squid encounter. That's a significant marine wildlife event. MPA has reporting requirements for cetacean and large marine species encounters.
Does MPA have a checkbox for giant squid?
Probably not. But they have a checkbox for unusual marine life sighting, and I think an 8-meter squid grabbing a passenger qualifies as unusual.
If we report it, they'll ask where we were.
We were 200 miles southeast of Singapore in Indonesian waters.
Without a cruising permit.
Finnigan paused.
If we report the squid, we admit we left without a permit.
Correct.
If we don't report the squid, we're withholding a significant marine wildlife observation.
Also correct.
So our options are confess to an administrative violation or withhold scientific data.
Welcome to maritime law, Finnigan. We're doing the right thing and doing the legal thing are almost never the same thing.
What do?
We file the cruising permit.
We can't file it. We've already left.
We file it from the Anambas. Backdated.
That's fraud.
That's administration. Nobody reads the timestamps. We file the permit. We report the squid encounter. MPA gets their paperwork. Science gets their sighting data. And everybody's happy.
That is ethically questionable.
That is operationally efficient. Finnigan. In the history of Singapore maritime regulation, no one has ever been prosecuted for filing a cruising permit 12 hours late. They have, however, been prosecuted for failing to report significant marine encounters. The squid is bigger than the permit. File the permit. Report the squid. Move on.
Finnigan filed the permit from his phone with Starlink connection, backdated by 12 hours. He reported the squid encounter to MPA via email. He included the GPS coordinates, the time, the depth, and a description of the animal. He did not include the part about it grabbing the lady in red. He did not include the part about her talking to it. Some things are not for government databases. MPA responded 14 hours later with a form email thanking him for the report and requesting he refrain from approaching large marine species in future. Finnigan had not approached it. The squid had approached them. This distinction, he suspected, would not survive a committee review. They arrived at Teluk Bayur anchorage at sunset. The Anambas Islands rose from the sea like something from a nature documentary. Limestone casts, jungle cliffs, water so clear you could see the anchor hit the sand at 8 meters. No boats, no people, no otters, no committee meetings, no stag parties, no container ships, no crocodiles loitering in luxury marinas, no land reclamation barges, no plastic bags, just water and rock and sky. Darvo killed the engine. The silence was physical. After 16 hours of engine noise, the silence pressed against their ears like a pillow. Finnigan sat on the bow, barefoot, feet hanging over the water.
Darvo,
Yes.
this is why we do it.
Yes.
Not the otters, not the pirates, not the squid. This.
Yes.
A crocodile was spotted at 115 Marina last week. Did you see that?
I saw that.
The world is getting smaller, the water is getting dirtier, the ports are getting bigger, the Tuas reclamation is eating the strait. The boat show just happened, and half the exhibitors were selling boats to people who'll never leave the marina. This is what's left. The places you have to work to get to. The places that don't have a pontoon and a PowerPoint.
Darvo opened a beer, handed one to Finnigan.
That's the most you've said without complaining in 4 episodes.
Don't ruin it.
I'm not ruining it. I'm acknowledging it. You're right. This is why we do it.
The lady in red appeared from below deck. She had changed into a different red dress. How she had a different red dress for an anchorage 200 miles from civilization was a question Finnigan had stopped asking 3 episodes ago. She carried 3 plates she had cooked on the Nordic's single-burner induction stove in an anchorage in the middle of the South China Sea. At sunset, garlic prawns, rice, sambal. They ate on the cockpit in silence. The sun dropped behind the casts. The sky went orange, then pink, then purple. Then the stars came out, and there were more of them than Finnigan had ever seen. Darvo raised his beer.
To the squid.
Finnigan raised his.
To the squid.
The lady in red raised her champagne.
To dry cleaning.
Somewhere, 400 meters below the Nordic, in the cold and the dark and the pressure, a giant squid moved through the deep. It had been to the surface. It had touched something warm, something that spoke to it in a voice that meant nothing and everything. It would not come back up, but it would remember, in whatever way a squid remembers. And the sucker marks on the lady in red's dress would not come out. Not at the dry cleaners in Singapore, not at the specialist in Bangkok, not ever. Captain Davo's True Tales will return. Next episode, the Pulau Hantu Haunting. Three weeks later, the Nordic motoring through flat, glassy water south of Singapore at midnight. A full moon, mist rolling across the surface.
Davo, where exactly are we anchoring tonight?
Pulau Hantu.
Pulau Hantu, Ghost Island.
That's what the name means, yes.
You want to anchor at a place called Ghost Island? At midnight, in the fog.
Best anchorage in Singapore at this time of year.
It's called Ghost Island because 2 warriors died fighting there and their spirits still haunt the water.
That's the legend.
Legends exist for a reason, Davo.
The reason is that it keeps other boats away, which is why it's the best anchorage. I've met worse things than ghosts.
When?
This afternoon.
Captain Davo's True Tales, completely factual maritime adventures, printed somewhere near the equator.